Good afternoon, and welcome to the regular meeting of the City of Glendale Commission on the Status of Women. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Alcazar?
Present.
Commissioner Burns?
Present.
Commissioner Devine?
Here.
Commissioner Garsavanian?
Present.
Commissioner Sarukanian?
Present.
Commissioner Toshchin? Present. Chair Miller?
Present. Thank you, Ms. Baboumian. Next item on the agenda, please.
At 1A is the report regarding the posting of the agenda. The agenda for the August 13, 2012 meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside of City Hall on or before August 10, 2012. At 2, we have introductions and presentations. On the agenda for August is mental health and aging, and to speak on the subject, we have Dr. Marcos Lopez and Veronica Holmes, from the San Fernando Valley Community Mental Health Center, Incorporated. Dr. Lopez is a registered psychologist who works at the clinic as a mental health clinician. So I just wanted to welcome them both.
Good afternoon, everybody. Chair Miller, members of the Commission. I first and foremost wanted to say thank you for inviting us here to speak a little bit about mental health in the older adult community. So I think it's important to highlight the fact that mental health is something that impacts everybody, whether you're a child all the way up to older adults. And I know that part of the agenda this evening is to talk about aging and in terms of aging with women. And so I wanted to highlight some important statistics when we talk about mental health. So one of the things to keep in mind is that mental health does significantly impact the older adult community. And when I say older adult community, I'm talking predominantly 55 and above. So what we see from statistics, from research studies that have been conducted across the country, is that about 20% of older adults, so those 55 and above, experience some significant mental health issues. What that means is essentially these individuals are experiencing some significant impact on their day-to-day functioning, to the point where they're having issues, maybe getting dressed in the morning, maybe getting out of bed, maybe working day-to-day life. These type of things that impact them are a variety. As you can see here, we see that part of it is depression. We also see issues with anxiety, substance abuse, as well as some cognitive impairments. And one of the things I really want to highlight is the issue of depression, because predominantly this seems to be one of the major things that we see in many older adults who come in. And this has to do a little bit with life transitions, which I'll talk about in a little bit as well. Something important to note, however, is that depression has been linked with suicide, and what we want to make very clear is that older adult community have one of the highest rates of suicide within the country. In fact, anybody 65 and above have a very high rate of suicide, and I think it's really important to highlight that point. And then the other thing that I wanted to make mention here briefly is the cognitive impairments. It's also really important to understand that cognitive impairments are issues of mental health, and in fact, 1 in 8 individuals 65 and above is diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. Something interesting to note, however, and I'll get back to this in a moment, is that about approximately 10% of cases that have been diagnosed as dementia actually are depression. And I'm going to go a little bit into detail about what are the signs and symptoms of depression to explain part of the reason why we see this. Something else important to identify is how mental health impacts physical health. One thing I wanted to highlight is that there's a high comorbidity. So what that means is there's a high correlation between physical health and mental health. What we do know is that people who experience physical health issues, especially older adults who experience mental health issues, and physical health issues seem to go hand in hand. In fact, the majority of people 55 and above have about, as you can see here, 80% are going to experience some physical health issues in their lifetime. And what we see is a lot of times people who experience significant physical health issues do develop some mental health issues along the way. In particular, this is very important because what we do know is that health care costs for those people who experience mental health issues on top of physical health is approximately 50% greater than those who experience just physical health issues alone. And then the last thing I wanted to make mention here is the issue of where they're getting treatment or if they're getting treatment. And what we see from the literature, what we see from research is that very few older adults seek out mental health treatment. And there's a variety of reasons, and I'm going to get into that as well in terms of stigma issues of that. But of those who do seek treatment, the majority get them from their primary health care physician. And in most cases, that relates to medications that they're provided. So why are these things important to keep in mind? Well, I wanted to first hit on the education component. As I was touching on, not many older adults seek out mental health services, and there's a variety of different reasons. The 2 points I'm going to make here are these 2 assumptions. There's this assumption that as you get older, it's just natural for you to have these declines in mental health. So, for instance, as you get older, it's okay to feel a little bit depressed because that's just normal as you get older. However, the fact of the matter is that's incorrect. That we can see there are many older adults who live day-to-day lives very happily, very contently. So this is a misassumption that people tend to have, is that, well, it's just natural, so there's nothing I can do about it. The other big issue has to do with the negative stigma that still surrounds mental health. Many people from the older adult community have the view of mental health as someone who's very extreme. So many of them think of, in the past, people who were placed in mental health institutions. So individuals with schizophrenia or individuals who are very severe in their mental health issues. And so as a result, a lot of them will say things like, well, I'm not crazy, so I don't need mental health things. I'm not crazy. I'm not seeing things. I'm not hearing things. So why would I go to get treatment? I'm fine. Or they'll say things like, well, but that's for people who can't handle things on their own. I can deal with this. I'm strong. I'm not weak. I can deal with this. And it's these types of beliefs that perpetuate the lack of mental health services being sought out by older adults. So I think it's really important to keep those things in mind and understand that the reality is if someone is seeking mental health services, they're not weak, they're not crazy, they just need a little bit of support. So one of the issues that I made mention early on is depression. And in fact, this is one of the big issues that impacts older adult community. But what are the signs of depression? Many people, when you think of depression, you think of individuals who are sad, who are maybe tearful, who maybe say that they feel blue, they feel down. They may even say that they feel depressed, but in many cases they don't. They may indicate that they're feeling that the future doesn't seem too bright for them. These are all signs of depression. However, it's also important to really hit on the issues, the signs and symptoms of depression that are particularly pertinent to the older adult community. Because in fact what we do see is that older adults tend to display their mental health symptoms a little bit differently than young adults. And one of the ways that we tend to see this is through physical health expressions. So in other words, what we see is older adults who experience depression are more likely to report that they just don't feel like they have a lot of energy. They just feel tired all the time. They may be saying, I'm not sleeping very well. I have problems falling asleep, and I toss and turn. I feel restless. I wake up a lot in the middle of the night. I'm just not energized anymore, and I feel exhausted during the day. They may say things along the lines of, I have a lot of aches and pains in my body. My stomach hurts a lot. I got headaches. I get body aches and pains. I feel tense all the time. And they may say, the doctor says I'm fine, but I still feel these things. They may make mention of problems concentrating, focusing. And this is where I tie back into the misdiagnosis of some cases of dementia, because what we see is that people who are depressed, especially older adults who are depressed, tend to have the tendency of showing concentration difficulties. And in fact, we even see this in young adults as well, is that people who are depressed have a harder time focusing. They're more likely to report issues of memory. So they can't remember where they placed their keys maybe. They can't remember what they did yesterday. These may be signs of dementia, but it's also important to highlight these are also signs of depression. Other things that we see is that people who are depressed, especially older adults who are depressed, they tend to be a little bit slower in their actions. So maybe they used to be very active, and maybe they used to walk fairly quickly, but all of a sudden you start to notice that they're walking a little bit slower than usual. They don't have that perk in their step that they used to have. Other things that we see is in some cases, people who are depressed, it doesn't come out as you would normally think in terms of sadness, but in fact, they may be very irritable. They may be very restless. They may be more likely to yell at you, and you're not really sure why they're so upset. It may not be that they're necessarily upset, but rather they're expressing their depression through a different way. And then other things to keep in mind is that people who experience depression, beyond the ones that I've mentioned, a lot of times they won't be engaged in as many activities as they used to. So maybe you know of someone who is an older adult, and instead of doing the activities that they used to do, they're starting to isolate. They start to do less of those things. They start to say, well, that's not really that much fun for me anymore. And you start to hear this trend of, that's not really that fun for me anymore. Neither is that. Those can also be signs of depression. One point I do want to highlight, however, is that one symptom in and of itself is not enough to say this person's depressed. But what I am highlighting here is these are some signs and symptoms. So if you begin to see a pattern of these type of things going on, that might be an indication that this individual may be experiencing some depression. And what's really important is if that is the case, they should seek out treatment. So I did want to conclude by just saying a wrap-up. It's really important to be able to identify mental health issues, especially in the older adult community, because as I mentioned, they're not immune to it. Some of the signs and symptoms I gave you are of depression, but in other cases such as anxiety, you see very similar patterns in terms of physical body aches, pains, problems concentrating, feeling really irritable, really restless. These are also signs that there could be some mental health issues. So what I would suggest is that individuals who experience these type of things consider being checked out. Consider talking to someone about these things. Getting treatment is of utmost importance, whether they do it from their primary health care physician or whether they do it from individuals such as myself or my colleague, Ms. Holmes, in terms of speaking with a mental health clinician. I do want to just highlight that that's very important, and hopefully if they do begin to see these signs, or if you individuals know of any individuals who are experiencing these signs, that you consider talking to them about it so that they can get some help. These are some of the references in terms of the information I provided. The majority of it you can find in the American Psychological Association webpage. At this point, I'm going to open up for any questions that Chair Miller or any of the individuals from the Commission have.
Thank you, Dr. Lopez. Do we have any questions at this time?
I have a question. May I?
Please.
Thank you. Dr. Lopez, what type of mental health issues do you see in your practice that specifically deal with women, either at your clinic or in general?
Thank you. I wanted to answer that question. Oftentimes, women, as they age, they're losing people. They're losing their spouse. Their adult children are moving away, and they have spent many years surrounded by family. And so we see that a lot, that women are feeling lonely. They're feeling like they're not able to engage in society any longer.
And just to follow up on that, may I share? Well, what is it that you would provide to aid those individuals?
Marcus and I work, we initially do a brief assessment, so we ask the client just a few questions just to make sure that we're focusing on the right issues. And then we would do what we call talk therapy. Marcus and I do short-term therapy, so anywhere between 2 to 6 months. And we work with them on identifying what their problem is, what is making them depressed, and then we'll give them problem-solving tools to help them to overcome their depression or anxiety, and so that they know what to do when they start to feel sad. They know what to do so that they can be more active.
Could you also please identify where you're located? So for any of our seniors who are up in that Sunland, Tahunga area, they could could reach you.
Sure. We're located in Van Nuys. We do serve the entire San Fernando Valley. The San Fernando Community Mental Health Center serves the San Fernando Valley area. We also, if someone is homebound or cannot reach our location, we are also able to go to their home or a mutually agreeable location.
In terms of the actual address, it's 6842 Van Nuys Boulevard in Van Nuys, California, 91405.
And I also wanted to just point out to our viewing public, as you were very gracious to come here and speak to us today, Dr. Lopez, we very much appreciate that you do represent the whole San Fernando Valley. In the city of Glendale, we're very fortunate with our center called the D.D. Hirsch, at which you advised us to speak with them. And I do want to make sure that the viewing public knows that you have come in as a support and a great community partner and collaborator with them. They are currently working very diligently on some grants so that they can continue to serve the population they do. And we very much appreciate that you would come all the way over from that corridor of the San Fernando Valley and reach out to our constituents here and let them know what's available.
I have a question, if I can.
Yes.
It's a practical question. And let's say you have a friend that you notice some of these characteristics. Can you tell me, the commissioners, and those that are watching, how does a friend approach a friend that they think needs help?
I think it's a great question, Commissioner Devine. I think the first thing we'd like to do is, with a friend, we already have a relationship with them. And so we can talk with them in a language in a way that they understand. And maybe they do have some stigma about mental health. And so as a friend, you can talk with them and you can maybe give them some facts, maybe lead them to some websites, and just let them know that you care about them and that going to, as Marcos mentioned, going to see a mental health professional does not mean you're crazy. It means that you're very healthy. You're healthy enough to seek help. Just as you would if you were having physical pains, you would go see a doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions? Oh. Yes.
Let's say that, I know this is targeted more for the elderly or for adults, but what about for young adults, like teenagers? Is there another place they can go to, or do they go to the same place as in Van Nuys?
Well, actually, it's important that they're aware that not only ourselves at San Fernando Valley Community Mental Health Center, but also at D.D. Hirsch. In fact, both locations work with the youngest of young to the oldest of old. So, in fact, they can get services, they can obtain services at our location, regardless of their age.
Thank you.
Does a young person have to have an adult with them if they come to, for this sort of...
It depends on how young they are, but at the majority of the time, if they're a minor, then the parents are the ones who usually bring them into services. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Dr. Lopez, and thank you, Veronica Holmes, for coming today and speaking to us about this very important topic. Being that there's no further questions, Ms. Baboumian, we will take the next item on the agenda, please.
Item 3 is oral comment. Discussion is limited to items not a part of this agenda. Time is limited to an amount to be set by the chair. The commission may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or discussion. Staff may refer the matter to the proper department for investigation and report.
And do we have any speakers this evening?
We have received no cards, Chair Miller.
Okay. Being that there's no speakers, we're going to go to the next item on the agenda. And go ahead. Next item on the agenda.
At 4 is consent items. At A is approval of the minutes of the regular commission meeting held on July 9, 2012.
Madam Chair, one correction. That would be July the 11th instead of August the 11th for the luncheon.
Noted. Thank you very much, Vice Chair Burns.
Any other changes made to the minutes? Okay. Well, then we need a motion to accept these minutes. Do we have a motion? We have two that weren't here. I need a motion from this side of the table.
I so move.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Burns,
Yes.
Commissioner Garcevanian,
Abstain.
Chair Miller.
Yes.
I took you out of order, I apologize. Commissioner Tashjian
Same.
and Commissioner Devine.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, I believe we're going to move a little bit ahead, Ms. Baboumian, to item 5B.
At item 3.
5B3, yep.
Okay. 3. Okay, so we're moving on to 5 business agenda B, reports information only. At 3 is an update on the 2012 Rosie Goes to Wall Street Camp Rosie program. And can I provide a brief report, Chair Miller?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Camp Rosie, which is now in its 6th year at the City of Glendale, was developed for teen girls and young women in order to empower them to make personal, educational, financial, and career choices so they can achieve self-sufficiency, career satisfaction, and long-term financial security. Camp Rosie is currently being held at the City of Glendale's Pacific Community Center for the duration of the 2 summer sessions. It is being held in 2 3-week sessions, Monday through Thursday from 12:30 to 5:30. The first session, which has concluded, was held from July 9 to July 26, and the second session is currently being held through August 16th, and this is the last week of Camp Rosie. Both sessions were open to girls from the community and also the Glendale Youth Alliance. A total of 42 girls participated in Camp Rosie this summer, 19 girls in Session 1 and 23 girls in Session 2. And consistent with the core mission of the Commission, Camp Rosie, in collaboration with many local service providers and other city departments, helped educate and train these young women and girls to develop essential business and financial literacy skills. And Camp Rosie has really been developed in a holistic way to address the increasingly complex worlds that these young women must navigate once they enter adulthood. Concepts such as good communication skills, money management, goal setting are discussed, and throughout both sessions of Camp Rosie, there's a lot of community partners that work to help bring the various components of Camp Rosie to life, and this includes Junior Achievement, which delivers the financial literacy curriculum, ARC Family Center, who brings forward the communication and empowerment curriculum, All About You Boot Camp for fitness and nutrition, our good friends Shield Self-Defense, the American Red Cross, who helps with CPR class materials, Break the Cycle, who addresses teen dating violence, Salvation Army, who talks about their Safe Place program, Glendale Community College's Outreach Office, which hosts the girls at the college for an afternoon, and the Glendale Police Department, who highlights some safety careers available to them in the future. We are fortunate enough today to have with us a few of Camp Rosie participants. Here today is Camp Director Kathy Piametti, along with Jasmine Gallagher, Jocelyn Garcia, and Caitlin Argueta. So I wanted to bring them forward at this time as part of our presentation, if that's okay.
Great.
Thank you. Welcome, girls. Hi. If you can just, you're here to just kind of say hi and talk a little bit about the Camp Rosie program, and then if the commissioners have any questions, I'm sure they'll be interested to see what you've been learning, so go ahead.
Okay, hi, I'm Jasmine. Camp Rosie was really fun. I was really surprised there were such young girls there. There's 12 all the way to 17. I think I was one of the oldest girls in the first session, actually. It was really fun. There was self-defense with Nelson. I was all super happy because he did the Kardashians. I don't know if you guys know who the Kardashians is, but he was their self-defense instructor also, so I thought that was pretty cool. And then There was the fitness program. We learned to dance. She put together a dance for us to learn. That was fun. I wasn't too big on the arts and crafts. I'm not a very artsy craftsy person, but that was fun too. Also, there was this therapy thing they did Tuesdays. That's cool because I kind of want to be a psychologist when I get older. So it was interesting, and all the girls were really fun. You know, everybody had such different personalities. People were out there, people were quiet and shy, and like I think all the shy people towards the middle of the camp and towards the end really came out there, and everybody was just great. The instructors are great. Fun.
Was that Melina Sardar's life skills that you're talking about on Tuesdays?
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Jocelyn Garcia. I'd say my favorite part from Camp Rosie was everything was, like, I liked everything, but I really enjoyed CPR classes because it's something you don't learn, like, anywhere. And aside from that, it was free. Camp Rosie is free, and I enjoyed that. They have different classes, self-defense, arts, the therapy Jasmine talked about. Is all really fun, and you really learn stuff that you don't learn in other places. Like the therapy was, I really enjoyed that. Yeah, arts was really fun too.
Good evening. My name is Caitlin Argueta, and I am currently in the Camp Rosie. It's going to end this Thursday. And I believe my favorite part of Camp Rosie was that you really get to be yourself, and no one judges you for who you are. And another part that I really liked was Melina. She's a great, like, life coach in every way. Like, she really teaches you a lot of different skills and traits, and, like, just to be who you are and don't be afraid of that person. And, like, whatever situation you are currently in now, it's up to you if you want to be something in life. And one of my goals is to make this world a better place than from how I found it. So, yeah. But I believe that Camp Rosie was a great experience. I've been in it for the past 2 years, and I just think it's a wonderful learning experience, and in every way. And I just want to thank everyone here today listening to me and the other Camp Rosie girls, and I want to thank everyone else who helps Camp Rosie be. Thank you.
Did you bring any friends with you this time? You said it's the second year you've come to Camp
Did
Rosie.
I bring any friends?
Any friends with you?
Yeah, her name is Elizabeth.
Great. Okay.
And it's a great way to meet a lot of new people. A really great way.
Did the three of you know each other before camp? Because look at how close you stand. I think that's one of the really interesting points about what Camp Rosie does in terms of, I would like to hear, I know that some of our commissioners went and participated or witnessed and watched the things that were happening in Camp Rosie. For me, it was very interesting to watch you in that first week and then to watch you towards the end of the program and to see how much growth. And it's really one of the best things the Commission does, and we equally thank you for being involved. Am I able to?
Yes, I'm so sorry to interrupt. I would be remiss to say that as ex officio Alcazar has been volunteering during session 2. She's been participating and volunteering and helping out, so I did want to mention that as well. She's been volunteering a lot of time there.
We would like ex officio Alcazar, it's her last meeting with us, but we'd like her to volunteer forever with us if we could. So thank you.
Okay. So I started volunteering at Camp Rosie on August 1st, and ever since then I've had a blast with the girls because they come from all different backgrounds, and some of them are shy, some of them are hard to talk to, but then I created a game, it's called Cross the Line, and I feel like ever since then I've broken the shell for the girls, especially the ones who are afraid to open up, and we've been having a blast with the self-defense, and now we're CPR certified, and it's just a lot of life skills that you can't experience anywhere else. So I wish I learned about Camp Rosie when I was younger, because now I'm already going off to college.
Now, you had a pretty exciting day today. What did you talk about today?
Today we watched a movie. I forgot her name, but there was a lady that came and taught us all about safe place, and like in whatever situation you're in, like family situation or really whatever situation in general that you are experiencing, to not run away, because you're not going to have anything out on the street but more problems for yourself. We learned like just to like call that number or go to a safe place, and they're everywhere in Glendale. I've learned that they're in libraries, Domino's, Burger King, just everywhere in general, and it was great. And Kathy taught us a lot about junior achievements finance, because this week we're going to go visit junior achievements and learn how it's like there and how it is like an adult not to spend your money on silly things. But yeah.
And why Mom won't buy you that purse that you want so badly, because she knows that there are other more important things to buy.
Yes.
You'll learn that lesson.
Do any other commissioners want to add in anything?
It was overwhelmingly wonderful. It really was, and this commission should be very proud of being able to underwrite the Camp Rosie program. It really was. I think the most interesting thing to me was the tremendous amount of information that's condensed in a short period of time, but it's very valuable to you. It was valuable to me to sit and listen to your leader, who should really come up.
Kathy?
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 Or wave?
Come on, Kathy. Come on up.
We would really like to see you, Kathy.
Well, we want to give you kudos, because we know what a great job you do, and you've been there for now, has it been 5 years for Kathy or 6? Have you been there from the beginning? You have, Kathy? Been there from the beginning?
From the beginning.
From the beginning.
6 years. This is our 6th program. We've seen hundreds of girls thus far, and I think it's invaluable what we give to the girls in the community. And there's actually, I don't know of another program like ours. Christine and I had an opportunity to visit the program in the city of Santa Monica, and our program is unique, you know, and I'm actually proud of it.
We're proud of you, too, and thank you for your loyalty and for the 6 years. Fabulous job.
And thank you for being very open. I sat in the back, and you really were. You were extremely open about
It's extremely important to be open with young adolescents and teens as they're growing, and for them to know that we don't all come, you know, to life with the bag of tools. You know, we go through trials and tribulations, and they bring us to where we are. In the group that I have on either side of me, there's been some major transformations from when they walked in to Camp Rosie, you know, to when they left 3 weeks later. There was a huge transformation. People who came in with a certain attitude or an idea of what they were coming for and left, you know, possibly a different young lady. So that's truly important to me, and I know that we're looking here at some future leaders, definitely, and hopefully they will continue to build themselves and put themselves first so they can contribute to the community. I don't know if anyone had any further questions for the girls.
Just congratulations on making that decision to go to Camp Rosie, because I know that wasn't an easy one, and for sticking it out and coming out, going in one person and coming out a better person, and that's kudos to you 3 young ladies.
I have one more.
Into the mic.
I just wanted to add one more thing. A lot of the girls at this Camp Rosie, you get really close, and the last day is always the worst day. You just you want it to keep going. It's so fun. But I'd have to say that the most emotional day is the last day with Molina, especially if you're doing the forgiveness stones. It's the most emotional day. Everybody sat in a circle and we all heard a story. And I'm not going to sit here and repeat it, but we all cried. You can feel everything like in the air, and that's the moment where you get really attached to everybody, and I don't know, like you make lifetime friends there.
Stop, you're going to make me cry, because I've been there for that. I was there once. I had no idea what I was walking into because I thought it was going to be like a party. And then she started that lesson, and I didn't even share, and I was in tears. It's so emotional, and it's a wonderful cleansing and a fabulous experience.
And it's amazing. You never expect that young girls our age go through the things that we go through, and I never would have expected to hear her story come out of her mouth. Like you just learn to expect the unexpected, I guess you can say.
Well said, as something you'll want to take with you for the rest of your life. Expect the unexpected. You are to be commended for coming here. We know it's not easy, and we were thrilled to, this commission is thrilled to be a part of your growth and to provide a safe place and to provide this kind of experience. Like Commissioner Burns said, it's one of the best things we do. And Kathy, you're right there in it. We cannot thank you enough for your dedication, your loyalty, the way that those girls are transformed. You're very much a part of that, and you're an extension of us, and we are very grateful. They have some.
Well, this is, I wasn't going to present this, but this is a thank you card that they had made for Kathy, and it had been left in our office. Session 1 girls had all, they're always under Kathy's supervision. They are never away from Kathy, but they managed to make a thank you card for her in the ladies' restroom, unbeknownst to Kathy, and present it with her. And I won't share the comments, but the comments inside are so sweet, and it really speaks to what these girls are saying today.
They're going. Great. Well, thank you. And we're so glad that it's a part of the city of Glendale. Thanks, girls.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Now that there's no further discussion on this item, it's closed and we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. Are we going back up to 5A? Okay.
Yes, we're going to go back up to 5A action items, and at 1 is consideration and discussion of Domestic Violence Awareness Month activities, also known as DVAM. And Chair Miller, members of the Commission, the Commission on the Status of Women has annually organized DVAM activities over the past several years for the following purposes: to raise awareness of the Commission's Domestic Violence Awareness Month activities and ways of preventing violence, to invite the public to events and activities related to the goals and core mission of the Commission, and to offer practical tips and suggestions on simple everyday actions anyone can take to help raise awareness as well as prevent and eliminate violence within the city of Glendale. And over the years, as a regular part of annual DVAM activities, the Commission has had 2 ongoing main activities. One is a proclamation marking October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Glendale, and also partnering with the Glendale YWCA to organize the Candlelight Vigil. The proclamation for Domestic Violence Awareness Month that the Commission has done annually that we can consider at this time would be to request a proclamation from the Mayor and City Council to designate October 2012 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Glendale. Typically, the proclamation has been presented on the first Tuesday of the month, and should the Commission decide to move forward with this activity, that would be October 2nd this year. And traditionally, the Chair accepts the resolution on behalf of the Commission, and all available commissioners come and help receive the proclamation from the Mayor. The other activity that's been done on a regular basis over the last several years is to partner with the Glendale YWCA for the Candlelight Vigil. And this year, again, the Glendale YW is indeed interested in helping deliver another successful Candlelight Vigil. It's traditionally held in memory of victims of domestic violence, both survivors and those who have lost their lives. And the vigil also provides an opportunity for awareness, education, and outreach to the community. In the past, speakers at the vigil have included actual victims of domestic violence, representatives from the Glendale YWCA, the commission here, and the Glendale Police Department. This year, the Glendale YWCA has indicated that they would like to have this event occur at the Glendale YWCA in their ballroom as it traditionally has been held, and they're thinking of doing it on Thursday evening, October 18. So that being said, with the regular activities, there's also some other activities to consider. About 2 years ago, the Commission partnered with the school district here in Glendale and presented a forum on teen dating safety and partner abuse during the month of October, and produced bookmarks to go along with that activity, and those were distributed at the school district. And last year it was suggested to the Commission to produce these bookmarks as a part of Domestic Violence Awareness Month in October. And it took a couple months of deliberating exactly what would be distributed, and unfortunately by the time we decided to go with Break the Cycle's artwork, they did not lease the artwork to us because they changed the artwork, and by that time it was pretty much the end of the school year, so that got shelved, and at this time we can consider looking at their new artwork and starting now and maybe move forward with that, so we can do that either in October. Another time to consider, which the Commission's talked about in the past as well, is to shelve that for February, which is specifically Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month, but I think any time is a good time for information. Another event that was considered last year but did not occur was the Never Coming Home for Dinner exhibit, and that is an exhibit that has happened in other parts of the country in years past, which highlights the lethality of domestic violence, and that, you know, there are people who do not come home as a result of the violence that they endure. The exhibit was inspired by an exhibit in the Women's Resource Center in Scranton, Pennsylvania, in response to a cluster of domestic violence murders back in 1993. And it's essentially a table, it's an empty table display, and one thought was to tailor it to victims of domestic violence from the community over the past several years. And last year there was some consideration to have this at the Glendale Galleria, in talks with the Galleria team and the Glendale Police Department. But that is something also to consider. That concludes staff reports. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Ms. Baboumian. Before I open this up for discussion as a whole, I'm wondering, just because there's so much in this report, there's about 4 parts in here, and if I could break the discussion down, Commissioners, and we took each item separately, that might move us along in a more structured pattern. So, first off, the proclamation on October 2nd, do we have to have a motion in agreement to go forth to accept this proclamation with City Council? Or?
If the Council presents it, you don't need a formal motion to accept it. You can attend.
So we just all take out our phones, put it in our calendar right now?
Correct.
Right. We will hope everyone, each of us as Commissioners, can put October 2nd down to come and accept this proclamation. Partnering with the YWCA, Ms. Baboumian, is October 18th a confirmed date?
It is not absolutely confirmed. The event is traditionally held, Chairman Miller, members of the Commission, it's traditionally held towards the end of the month on a Thursday. The very last Thursday, the YWCA does have a scheduling conflict. They have a 3-day conference that's taking place. They have expressed interest in the 18th, but that is yet to be confirmed by the Executive Director, Michelle Roberts. But it seems like that date is open for them. At this time, a specific date does not have to be set. We can move forward with planning a candlelight vigil in the month of October and fine-tune the date and bring it back at the next meeting.
So then, for our discussion purposes here, it's narrowed down to, is again a motion to be passed, narrowing it down to do we want to participate or not? Okay, let's have some discussion on that, if we may.
Well, Chair Merrill, this is a staple event for our commission. We're talking about the Candlelight Vigil, correct?
Correct.
Well, it's a staple event for our commission, and this is a very plain and simple. This is something that we participate in each year. It's something that's very important to our commission and to the YWCA, and I think it's a no-brainer that we enthusiastically support the vigil.
Are we all in agreement? Do we have to have a motion on this? Ms. Hartman?
We would, but we can take it separately, or we can combine it with any of the other activities. It's the Commission's will as to how you'd like to proceed.
Given that this one will be straightforward, I would rather just make a motion on it and move on. So, do I have a motion on the proclamation, or excuse me, on the partnering with the YWCA for a candlelight vigil?
Madam Chair, I would like to suggest before we do that the Never Coming Home for Dinner, I feel would be really good to come in under the candlelight vigil. If we were going to be doing the Never Coming Home for Dinner, rather than holding it at the Galleria, I think it would be appropriate for us to look at setting that table at the vigil. It seems that everything, it's the same. It's the same thing that's we're looking at.
Well, if I can comment on that. A good idea, but we would certainly see a lot more people at the Galleria and have a lot more presence at the Galleria, give out more ribbons at the Galleria, and I think that's really important, how many we catch in this net.
Chair Miller, if I may, point of clarification. At this time, this report has been brought to the Commission, and there have not been talks with the Galleria. Staff wanted to get an idea of whether or not the Commission would interested in this, and then we can move forward with contacting the Galleria. I know that there's construction occurring at the Galleria at this time throughout the entire facility. So it may be an option, it may not be an option. I know it was something that was on the table last year. Staff isn't 100% sure if it's on the table this year, but I do understand that if there are other public places that can be looked at and explored if the Galleria is not available.
Thank you, Ashley, for clarifying that. So it seems like taking into discussion what you've identified as well as where we're at specifically with this other event, Never Coming Home, it seems to me that there's two things going on. We need to decide about partnering with the YWCA for a candlelight vigil, which is a staple, as Commissioner Tashian has spoken about, that we've always done. It's a very moving event. And then it sounds like we need to advise you if we as a commission want you to go forward and start those discussions. So again, I say, can we tackle each of them one at a time, or Commissioner Burns, do you want them mixed? Do you want the discussion?
I have another idea to throw out,
Great.
a suggestion to throw out. A month ago, or maybe it was 2 months ago, the Commission collaborated and went into an agreement with the YW and Seroptimist to buy the film Loves Me, Loves Me Not. It is an amazingly powerful film. We showed it this weekend at Seroptimist, and every one of the women in that room said this has got to be seen by our community. And I really feel that this commission needs to show that film. We need to everyone that we can. And I think we have to invite every single organization, men and women, to see that film, to encourage a discussion about domestic violence. Of course, that's Domestic Violence Awareness Month, isn't it? It's not Sexual Assault Awareness.
But Loves Me Not does
Yeah,
address
that's
domestic
yeah,
violence.
domestic
so
violence.
it
So
fits in with
it's
the
a
month.
perfect. I mean, it couldn't be more perfect. We have the DVD. I know that we can get someone from the YW to show it. I do not think it would be appropriate to do it on the night of the march. I think we need to schedule it at the library or somewhere else that we can get a lot of people there and really encourage a discussion. We have recently in this community suffered several domestic violence. We're always, every time we pick up the newspaper, there's something in the paper, and I think it behooves this commission to use this film and to educate our community.
Thank you, Commissioner Devine, for those thoughts. Anybody else want to comment on that?
I'm a bit confused. I think, did we have a motion with respect to the candlelight vigil? And if so,
Not yet.
I'm waiting, we're having discussion on it, and
I think we should keep it separate, in my humble
I agree.
opinion. I think we should go ahead with the motion with respect to the candlelight vigil, and then perhaps explore what Commissioner Devine had suggested, and also Commissioner Burns had suggested, perhaps at a later date, which I think are excellent ideas, but maybe we need some further
We
information.
can't wait too long because it's in October, so Ms. Baboumian has to make plans.
I thought you said it was
And we can, Commissioner Devine, we can still actually discuss that here at this meeting. I think we're just looking for a motion on the candlelight vigil, which,
Which I will make.
Great.
I will second.
you need roll call on that?
No, not if there's unanimous consensus.
Are we
Is there any
unanimous?
objection to that?
Great.
Okay.
Okay. So, 2 down. Now, right.
Incidentally, on the proclamation, staff will inquire of council, and when the date is set, will notify the commission, because the date for that does get set by the mayor, and so when we have confirmation, we'll let you know.
So October 2nd may not be the day.
More than likely, it will be the
Okay.
day, but we'll need to confirm that and bring that back.
Okay. And I look ahead, I only point that out as we look at the calendars and the time of the commissioners. I'm just thinking if the proclamation is October 2nd and partnering with YWCA is October 18-ish, then perhaps when we're looking at taking into account the thought process that Chair Devine brought up, we have a couple of other weeks in October there so that everything's not lumped together. So now moving on to the school district and the teen dating cards. Ms. Baboumian, could you identify for us what it would take to make that happen? Where are we at since everything?
At this time, staff can bring forward the current palm card design that has changed since the commission last explored this to the September meeting, along with printing costs. If the commission approves the costs associated in the design by Break the Cycle, then we can certainly move forward and have those printed in September and ready to distribute in October. At the time that last year, the commission had specifically approved certain artwork, and when staff went to go get the artwork from Break the Cycle, they held on to it. They said there were changes being made. They could not release the artwork, and then by the time the artwork was released, it was much later in the year.
I thought we also talked about how much the finances, how much we were giving towards the project. Didn't we have that in our?
As far as to,
like we were going to spend up to or not in
yeah, I believe
in
the
excess
cost,
of a certain amount.
the cost
So-
associated with leasing the artwork was $125.
and printing them too.
And print, yes, there was a $125 cost associated with leasing the artwork from Break the Cycle, and at the time, the graphics costs were approximately $545.
So do we have to bring that back? We do. Okay.
So,
Okay.
Yes.
So it can't be all things remaining the same? I mean, if we've already decided on it as a commission, couldn't it just be that next month you bring the artwork?
Absolutely. Yes, if that's the direction of the commission, staff at the next meeting for an update for DVAM report will include, at your direction, the updated artwork, all the costs associated with the artwork, and it will be ready for your approval.
And I have another comment. this goes along, these bookmarks, or palm cards, I think they are, isn't that what we decided on? They go along with the curriculum. So the students are going back to school next week. So they're going to start that curriculum of safe dating in the 9th grade classes. So the sooner we get those to them, the better. So if we can do that by October, that would be terrific.
I have a question. Do we know when the forum will be held and where?
The Teen Dating Violence Forum. At this time, I'm not sure if the commission is interested in the forum. We could explore the forum and contact the author who came 2 years ago. We didn't have the forum last year. So
Where was the forum 2 years ago?
2 years ago, it was in the Glendale Central Library Auditorium, and Barry Levy, who wrote a book called In Love and in Danger, and also is on the faculty at UCLA, provided a presentation on her book and on teen dating violence.
Was there a good turnout for this forum?
There was, I'll be honest, it was not like the Friends of the Library events, but if it's something that we can collaborate perhaps with the Friends of the Library, it might be a more successful event, seeing as to how they reach a large audience. There were about 60 people there, college students, some women's studies classes. The professors had made it an extra credit project to go and listen to the talk and write a paper about it. There was a lady who brought her Girl Scout troop in, and there was members of the community who are fairly active in the community were there as well. So the turnout was tepid.
And also, would it be possible to maybe move these forums to USD high schools? And I mean, I'm not a big fan of these palm cards or bookmarks. You know, high school wasn't too far ago for me, and they don't really serve a purpose, in my opinion. But the forums help, and to hear someone talk about it and in your own high school is a lot more effective.
The idea, Commissioner Garcevani and members of the Commission, which is an excellent idea, the conversation stemmed originally from the Safe Families Task Force meetings that staff was at, and I believe Commissioner Devine was at 3 years ago, and there was interest from the group to bring somebody to the school district to make these presentations. The problem that we ran into at the time was the school district has a very strict set of number of days for presentations, and there was not a lot of interest to incorporate a teen dating violence presentation into one of their, please help me with the word, assemblies. Okay.
Yeah.
So there was an interest to incorporate it in the assemblies, and part of getting the teen dating violence curriculum into the health class, that was something that the school district was willing to do and move forward with, and that was, if you'd like to call it a compromise, that was what they agreed to do, to bring the conversation of teen dating violence to the school district without taking an assembly day to do it. And we thought, I'm so sorry, and so we just thought, just to conclude my comments, is to have a separate forum where whoever was interested could go. But yes, you do not reach the same audience that you would with a entire high school.
Commissioner. One thing I want to say is that forum was instrumental in convincing the school district and the administrators to put this curriculum into effect. It wasn't 300 people there, but it was enough that they took notice. So it was very important. It was a very important step.
Now, just in terms of bringing this discussion back together, there's just a couple suggestions I want to throw out for further discussion. My understanding of where we're going in terms of a time limit is, according to Commissioner Devine's comments, the clock is ticking. This is just something for us to think about. The clock is ticking with the curriculum starting and with us having a September meeting, and then we look at October. So that's just one thing for us to consider. When we look at Commissioner Garcefanian's comments, which I think these forums are a great idea, and I will tell you, I do so appreciate how you are very consistent, because last year you've never been a fan of these bookmarks. It's duly noted, but we did vote, and so it's over. We voted, and the vote has gone on. But that being said, what you've brought up is a very, very, very good point, and it is something, it's not like everything has to be done in October. I mean, we have February, we have other months that we can do a lot of planning on all these domestic violence and teen violence and all these things that are at heart to the Commission. So I might just throw that comment out for us to consider as we're thinking forward about this. And then to come back to really identifying where are we at in this discussion? Like, where do we want to go?
Chair Miller, the forum has been traditionally held in February because that's when Teen Dating Safety and Partner Abuse Month is, correct?
2 years ago, Commissioner Tashin, the forum was held in October, but Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month is officially February nationally. So it would be appropriate to do it in February as well.
Which we have certainly a great deal of time to discuss that. With respect to the palm cards, as I recall, we had some discussion previously about the artwork and how the Commission's name or label would be placed on that palm card or bookmark. I believe this was a palm card. Would you be able to look into that and tell us at the next meeting how that artwork is designed and how we could get our name on that palm card?
I can answer that for you right now, Commissioner Tashin. Instead of staff getting printed palm cards from Break the Cycle, which A, would cost more through their printer, and B, would not have the Commission's name on it, leasing the artwork from them would not only allow staff to put the Commission's name on the palm cards along the bottom and save on printing costs. So that is something that we would, staff would definitely, taking direction from last year, move forward with again this year. Absolutely.
Okay, great. That's good.
Thank you.
So, any other comments? Okay, do we have, in terms of the teen dating cards, I don't think we have to do a motion. My understanding is you're just coming back next month with the artwork and all things considered are the same.
Yes.
Because we previously voted. Okay. Moving down.
Although we will bring it back as an action item for the next meeting so that we could get the costs approved.
Correct.
Also, Madam Chair, are we not considering a forum, or are we just pushing that to February?
We are not doing anything yet. We haven't. Let's talk more about the forum. We have 3 more things left. We have the Never Coming Home. We have the item that Chair Devine mentioned regarding the movie Loves Me, Loves Me Not, and then we have this forum. So.
Well, maybe we can have a forum and show the film there and also
Great idea.
Explore some options as to speakers. Maybe bring the author of the book back. Or if any of us know domestic violence speakers.
The author from UCLA?
Yes, the author Christine mentioned.
That was teen dating violence, wasn't domestic violence.
Right.
So we would save that for February, I thought we said.
But I'm saying if we had a forum, we can explore other speaker options for October.
Oh.
Commissioner Garsafanian, are you so moved that you want a forum in October? Is that?
I mean, I don't see why we can't have a forum in October and February. They're so far apart.
May I?
Please.
In my humble opinion, I think the Teen Dating Safety and Partner Abuse Forum should probably be held in February in conjunction with the traditional month where teen dating safety is held. I think it would be somewhat ambitious if we had multiple forums in the next couple of months and probably put a bit of a strain on Ms. Babunian. Which, of course, she could handle. But I would think that the forum should probably be held in February. And, of course, the film, that's another subject. I mean, that perhaps we could be able to do in October.
Well, one other thing that I just want you to consider for a future meeting on this topic, too, because there could be more forums. I think our plate is very full for October. So if I had an opinion about this, I would say that October is very ambitious. But when we look at this Never Coming Home, and I don't have the specific data in front of me, I didn't plan on speaking about this at this meeting, but I will put this statement out there and then back it up with all the data that I have on my desk, because in the city of Glendale, we are looking at veterans, and we're specifically looking at female veterans, and one of the largest percentages of people who are coming home are female veterans, and within that set, some of the great research that Lisa Raggio has done at the YWCA, we've been collaborating on this, and we actually met today. She identified that one of her contacts has talked about domestic violence specifically to veterans. So where all this goes, and I'm not trying to open a can of worms, but where this goes is perhaps the Never Coming Home could be a forum that we might collaborate with in November, which is around the veterans' time, that can help keep this whole thought process that also might make the image of the Never Coming Home also more understand. I don't know if I
think that's a wonderful point.
That's just an idea for you to think about. So that being said, we've looked at three things. Coming back to the movie that you talked about, Commissioner Devine, did you have any time frames on when you suggest we do that?
No, in the past, it's always been, we tried to have an event, or at least 3 events during the month of October for domestic violence awareness, so that we would get the commendation and then at least have 2 other events to raise awareness of the issue. And so,
Is it
4 weeks?
And would it be as easy as showing it's the movie and identifying a location and then getting the outreach out on this event?
Well, it would involve finding a location where we could show the movie. It would the marketing, the getting information out, and also getting speakers or someone from the. I'm thinking the YWCA has a lot of wonderful counselors over there that can come and facilitate a dialogue with the audience, because the film, begs for conversation. It begs for people to talk and analyze, critical thinking about this issue. And so you need someone really at the end, not necessarily a speaker that's going to talk about domestic violence, because they'll get all of that at the candlelight vigil. This film is a film about looking at the issue, understanding exactly what happened, what we can do, and to as I keep saying, encourage a dialogue. And I think that would be what it would involve.
How many seroptimists watched this?
About 35.
weekend?
About 35.
And where was it?
Oakmont Country Club. We had the Seroptimist retreat.
So is anybody so moved to help the commission and myself? Do I have any other commissioners who are so moved to help coordinate this? Because it's.
I'm wondering, Chairman or Chair Devine.
Just Commissioner.
Commissioner
Thank you.
Devine.
Just Commissioner. Thanks.
You'll never be just a commissioner to us.
Would there be any possibility of working this into a fundraiser for us?
That would be up to the commission and up
Well,
to
think
Ms.
about
Begonia.
this movie.
May I ask a question?
How long? You've got a film of how long?
28 minutes.
28 minutes. Is there any possibility that we could look at a fundraising event around this film?
I think you have to look at what are our reasons, what is our plan? Are we showing it to raise funds, or are we showing it for awareness? Are we doing both? I think that's something that the commission has to decide.
Well, I'm thinking about what you were discussing a month before last, and that was the fundraising event at Lexus.
There was some discussion about a wine and cheese event at Lexus, but apparently that didn't pan out.
No?
But we are thinking about a fundraiser, sort of like a wine and cheese event, but that would be most probably in the beginning of the year.
So, keeping in mind, and you will come back to us with a further report on that, Commissioner Tashian, or through Ms. Baboumian, correct?
Certainly.
Commissioner Garsafanian?
I would like to know whatever happened to our discussions of LunaFest. Did we ever decide when to bring that back, and if we were at all?
That was, Commissioner Garsavani, members of the commission, that was tabled and is pending direction from the commission if the commission would like to bring that back, and at what point. I believe at this time a new season is starting with a new set of films.
Right.
So the films that were discussed previously with the commission, I believe, have changed by this time, but we can certainly bring that back. It's at the commission's.
Because my thoughts are maybe we can tackle that movie on towards the end and have like a discussion right afterwards.
Okay.
Go ahead.
There might be legal issues with taking a film that's not a part of LunaFest and putting it with LunaFest.
Right.
We might be prohibited from doing that. It's an excellent idea,
It's an
but
option we can explore.
Chair Miller?
Yes.
On the LunaFest, that was a project that we were supposed to do with Senator Carol Liu, with Seroptimus, and with a lot of different collaborations, because it's expensive to rent the film. We can't just, and you have to, rent it in advance. It's a real process. And plus it's over an hour long, so I don't think we can put both of those together. It would make for far too long of an evening, and they really don't kind of go
I go
together.
to a movie and it's 2 hours long, so an hour and a half and 30 minutes for that one.
These are kind of rough. These are kind of tough topics, tough
Chair
10-minute
Miller?
films.
Yes.
Just to follow up on Commissioner Devine's suggestion, we do have the proclamation, we do have the candlelight vigil. It looks like we're going to have the teen TV palm cards in place. The suggestion was the film, and I'm assuming the film would be towards the end of October. I think that's probably appropriate if we're going to do that. Perhaps Ms. Babunia can follow up with respect to the film, to the location. In my opinion, I think the focus should be on awareness as opposed to fundraising. And I think perhaps at the next meeting we could have some more, we need to have more detail with respect to the film. It's not too long. We could probably do it, find a decent location at the end of October, and that would give us 4 events in October for domestic violence.
And can I add that Ms. Baboumian will, I have the film right now, but I was supposed to bring it to her tonight, but you can all take it home and watch it and see what you think and understand what would happen at a forum.
And staff, if the commission should choose to move forward with the film screening, staff can move forward with looking at a variety of speakers who can address some of the issues, whether it's someone from legal services to help answer any questions from the side of the law, in addition to the counselors, and see if there's a panel of experts, so to speak, with domestic violence who can maybe help address any questions, confusion, or clarify things for the public who maybe don't know everything there is to know about domestic violence. That's something that can add to.
And I'd like to say that I think Commissioner Toscan would probably have a lot to say after the film.
Well, certainly. And I think
Attorney.
perhaps you could be able to come up with a detailed report at our next meeting to have this filming in last week or so in October.
So, are we all in agreement in the direction of asking the staff to go forth and to identify a location, to identify a date, to do some of the work for us, and to bring it back to us next month for decision?
Absolutely, staff would be happy to
We're
do
all
that.
in agreement?
if that's-
Do you need a motion on that, Ms. Farpich?
No, unless there's some objection or some additional thoughts that wasn't incorporated in what Chair Miller just said. I think the direction is fairly clear, so we don't need a motion.
Now, just in terms of the 2 items, there are no objections to that. We have our 4 items. We're moving on. I would like to just put forth, to not lose the other comments that the commissioners brought up, if you could come back to us at a later date with the update on LunaFest or something within the report that gives us information that we may be able to look at that to see if that's actually a direction we want to go in terms of spending the money, who we collaborate with. Is that correct, Commissioner Garcifanian? Was that one of your suggestions? Okay. And then also in November, the Never Coming Home. Okay.
Just to clarify, Chair Miller, the LunaFest, is staff bringing that back as a separate event and just revisiting LunaFest, or is this in conjunction with?
You would actually bring it back at a later date, and where I would hope that we would see that is if we could have it after, not in 2012 is what I'm putting forward, but look towards 2013.
Okay, thank you.
Does that?
I'm curious to know what kind of goals we would be having attendance-wise for this movie. It would greatly depend on where we were going to show this. We could show it at the Civic. A whole bunch of people come down to the library. There's any number of.
I think really the library would be
I think that would be ideal.
good place to show it. Yes.
I'm almost hoping you just start in that direction. Do we all agree? Just start in the direction of the library.
Yes, I think so too. It's got everything we need.
All there.
Okay. Wow, there was lots of lively discussion on that. Thank you, commissioners. Everybody ready to move off of item 1 and on to the next report? Okay. Ms. Baboumian, the next.
At 2 is consideration and discussion of participation in the Business Life magazine's Women Achievers Business and Healthcare Conference, and at A is a motion to approve participation in the Business Life magazine Business and Healthcare Conference. And a brief report, Chair Miller, members of the Commission. Business Life magazine has once again this year extended an invitation to the Glendale Commission on the Status of Women to participate in their Women Achievers Business and Healthcare Conference, which will take place Thursday, September 27 this year at the Glendale Hilton Hotel. For over 20 years, the magazine has been saluting women achievers and organizations across the Tri-City region. And evolving from the recognition of these women at the luncheon, Business Life magazine has expanded their annual celebration to add morning workshops on entrepreneurial leadership and healthy living, which is then immediately followed by the luncheon. This year's conference honorary co-chairs are State Senator Carol Liu and Christine Antonovich. The conference registration and networking starts at 8:30. At 9:30, the workshops start. They run from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. on leadership, employment services, healthcare, and work-life balance. From 11:30 a.m. to noon is the Women Achievers Reception and Networking, and at noon, the luncheon commences, and the day's activities are done with the conclusion of the luncheon. So throughout the day, there are booths represented by various businesses and organizations that are able to provide information and services to the participants of the conference. And Business Life magazine has offered a shared booth to the Commission on the Status of Women and the Pasadena Commission on the Status of Women at no cost. So at this time, staff would recommend that the Commission participate in the Business Life magazine conference. It involves staff going and setting up a booth and providing information. The timeliness of the luncheon would provide the Commission opportunity to promote the October Domestic Violence Awareness Month activities and to provide any information about the Commission, including their meetings and their various events. That concludes my report.
Commissioner Devine?
I have a question. We had a response from the Pasadena Commission?
We have not had a response yet from the Pasadena Commission. It was asked by the Business Life Magazine Committee asked us to get in touch with the Pasadena Commission. So the invitation's been extended. I would think staff Staff thinks that the commission, if it would be nice for Pasadena to participate, and it would also be an opportunity to learn a little bit more about what Pasadena does. And if not, Glendale would be happy to take over the booth too.
So it looks like we just need a motion to approve participation in the Business Life magazine.
Okay, I will make a motion to participate in the Business Life magazine reception and have a booth shared with them on, when is it? September 27th.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, and are we all in agreement, or do we need unanimous? Great. Okay, moving on to the next item, Ms. Baboumian.
Thank you very much. At B is reports information only. At 1 is the Commission on the Status of Women's 2012 Master Calendar of Events, and this is just the recurring calendar. If there's any changes, additions, revisions that need to be made, staff would be happy to make them at this time. If not, just note and move on.
The only thing that I might just extend to you as a follow-up to today is to perhaps, Ms. Baboumian, if you could reach out to our friends at D.D. Hirsch and ask them if they'd like to come and open comments, and just as a follow-up to the lecture that was done today, to identify the resources that are available here. Again, they would be limited only to the 5 minutes, but it would, again, tie it together in terms of the presentation that was done and then what we have available here in Glendale.
Absolutely.
Anyone else? Next item.
At 2 is a final update regarding the 8th Annual Jewels of Glendale Awards Luncheon. Before you, Chair Miller, members of the Commission, is the final update on the Jewels Luncheon, along with the Exhibit 1, which is the total revenue and expenses associated. So as of August 7th, 2012, the total revenue for the Jewels 2012 luncheon was $28,480. Total expenses, $11,473.46, which yields a profit of $17,006. $17,006.34. And the Commission received the following sponsorships this year, which greatly contributed to the profits. $5,000 diamond sponsorship from Glendale Adventist Medical Center, $4,000 Emerald sponsorships from Massage Envy Glendale, Glendale Water and Power, Glendale Memorial Hospital, and Glendale Management Association, and 3 $500 Ruby sponsorships from Acura of Glendale, Essentia, and Women's Divorce Resource. Any questions about the attachment? I'd be happy to go over them. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Baboumian. And at a later time, we will actually, a later time on the agenda, we will then begin discussions around 2013, right?
Yes.
So in terms of putting some nice closure on this again, that is a very nice profit. I again want to thank Commissioner Garsafanian for his leadership of us through that process, as well as the rest of the commissioners for their participation. And with that, next item.
At 6 is Commissioner and staff comments.
Well, I'm going to start with a couple of quick comments, and then I'm going to turn it over to the rest of the commissioners, because we do have with us, for their last meeting with us, we have our student ex officio commissioner, Jacqueline Alcazar, and we have Commissioner Sarukanian, who we very much as a commission want to thank. We'll go ahead and pass this down to them. We want to thank them for their service to the commission, for their inspiration, and for the thoughts that they brought here for things that we perhaps didn't think about, and for bringing us back to a time that is very critical in a young woman's life. Now, with that being said, what I want you to be aware of is in the bag, and perhaps maybe you could show this if we could. There are plaques from the commission to both of the student. And there's a book, right? There's a book on America's Daughters.
which was, by the way, edited and written by one of our former commissioners, Linda Pillsbury.
Yes, it's all.
And let me have this. And I'll read the plaque. The City of Glendale recognizes both of you lovely ladies as student ex officios with gratitude for your outstanding service to the Commission on the Status of Women, August 13th, 2012.
Very nice.
Do either of you want to say anything or tell us where you're going in the future and what's...
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to thank all of you for this opportunity. I can't believe it's been a year since the interviews and everything went by, and it's just been an unbelievable experience. I would, again, like to thank you all, and I'm going to be here locally at Glendale Community College. I'm going to be working a lot with the YWCA. We're actually starting a new club at Glendale Community College, so I look forward to still collaborating with the Commission on the events for the years to come. Thank you.
I will be heading to UC Irvine, and I will move in at September 22nd, but we don't start class till September 27th. And I have a short slideshow I would like to show you guys. And I have something that I wrote down, so I'll be saying it as you will view the slideshow. One can call oneself a student, and one can call oneself a member of an organization. However, one cannot simply call oneself a student ex officio for the Commission on the Status of Women, and that is something treasured. That is why I would like to extend my deep gratitude for allowing me to be one of the student ex officios for the Commission on the Status of Women. From the candlelight vigil in honor of the victims of domestic violence to Camp Rosie, the Commission has opened my eyes to not just global issues, but even everyday domestic problems which occur within our own community. There is always something that needs to be fixed, and with this Commission, it really takes a strong hold on fixing the lives of others. Through the events, I have met and worked with people I will never forget. Each Commissioner and staff has proven to be a very inspirational individual in whom I greatly admire. As I step toward the life of an adult, I promise to take the knowledge and skills I have attained and utilize them to create a brighter future. I know this Commission will continue to provide the gift of service for women in all audiences of Glendale and beyond. So thank you again for all that you do. And you can keep watching the slideshow. That was when we were learning CPR. So for our CPR class, we learned that there are 3 basic steps. And that was at the walk a mile in her shoes. These are the few flyers that as a commission that we've taken a part of.
Oh boy.
Is that you?
And this was at the banquet, as you can tell. There's a mayor.
Mr. Bringus.
Those are representatives from your school, the principal and
the principal and the vice principal.
vice principal.
And that's about it.
That's wonderful. Does anybody else want to say anything to our students?
I do. First to Natalie. You came to us from Clark Magnet, this beautiful young girl with a purpose and a direction. I congratulate you on your graduation, and I commend you for the time that you have given to this commission. Your work with the YWCA on domestic violence for your senior thesis was a huge success, and I know that Senator Liu was impressed. You also took Denim Day and Sexual Assault Awareness Month to your campus and raised awareness of this terrible crime against women. And to your credit, You are already planning to take the Commission's programs to the Glendale Community College, and I wish you all the luck in the world. And to Miss Natalie, the ultimate leader, highly respected by her peers, her teachers, and administrators. You too took Denim Day to new heights, sexual assault awareness, took them to your campus, and for the first time ever, we actually had administrators come to our events, which I thought was absolutely amazing. Dear Mr. Bringus, and I hope that this commission will keep these people in our lives open to Holy Family. As you study criminology, through your work here, you've established a wonderful relationship, I know, with members of our Glendale Police Department. I wish you good luck, and I know you'll be very successful. And thank you both. You've been outstanding. Commissioner Tostian, you and I did a fabulous job, didn't we, in picking these two?
In fact, that was going to be my comment. The first thing out of my mouth was going to be, I think I did a pretty good job.
I think you did,
very
too.
Very well done, girls. Very well done.
Very well done. Thank you. Excellent.
We also can't let this meeting go with one other acknowledgement. I am sitting in this chair as the new chair, but Commissioner Devine has been the chair for many, many years. Her work
It sounds like forever.
Yes.
her work, her dedication, her loyalty to the commission, her commitment, her drive, her passion. She exudes so much of what has really been a big part of the development of this commission, taking it to a different level. We are forever grateful as a commission. We are very pleased that you are still here with us and we can have your wisdom. And with that, maybe Commissioner Garstefani, we would like to present you as a commission with these flowers and thank you for just being and to thank you again for your leadership. And see, you're at the right hand, so you'll still be.
Yes.
I hope.
For a while.
One comment,
Yes.
Chair Miller. I'd like to also, since I wasn't here at the last meeting, I'd like to also thank former Chair Devine for her exceptional leadership skills in the last several years. Has it been 4 years?
Three.
Or
3 years.
3 years.
2 years as vice chair and 3 as chair.
Beautiful, beautiful. And it's a great job. And I also like to thank and welcome our new chair. Good luck.
Thank you all. It's been my pleasure to serve as the chair of this commission, and I know that Chair Miller will take it to another level as well, and I wish her luck. Thank you. Thank you all. Very nice. Very nice.
So, continuing on with comments, Commissioner Burns, do you have any comments?
Well, I attended the Live Well Senior Program luncheon today. And for all of us, Dr. Avasian gave us a tremendous amount of information on foot, ankle, heel, toe. Didn't get to the head, but, that head and shoulders, but he just did the feet, and he really did a great job. Approximately 170 people, seniors, were at the Live Well Senior Program, and it was well done. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Anything worth mentioning about feet that we should know?
Oh, gosh. He talked about bunions and surgeries, etc. So it was, you really needed, you really needed to be there, but you're not going to be there for a bit. But even young people,
especially women wearing heels every day.
Absolutely. But he really did a very good job of giving us the information. And we might like to hear it sometime here. Oh, we already have, haven't we?
Any other comments?
No, I'm just happy to be here.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Devine, going back to you, did you want to add?
Here we go.
Again, the business.
Yeah.
Thank you. were a couple of things I wanted to announce. Again, the Business Life magazine Saluting Women Achievers Luncheon and Workshop on September 22nd. If anyone's interested in going to the luncheon, and all of the workshops are included, September 27th, the tickets are $65, and you can go to businesslife.com for more information. And the main topic or focus of the luncheon will be, can women do everything and be everything? End all, be all. So it's going to be very interesting. Healthcare will be discussed, as well as women and leadership roles. I also want to make women in Glendale aware of a new nonprofit, and it's called Women's Divorce Resource. It was founded by a friend of ours of this commission, Mona Marcos, and it is a nonprofit that hopes to provide solutions for a fresh start. It is for women going through divorce, through transitioning, or widows trying to cope with their situations. They've established a website. The website is www.womensdivorceresource.org, which lists professionals who are available to help you through difficult times. They include financial planners, attorneys, there's a wonderful divorce recovery coach for women on the resources. So if you need help or know someone who does need help in that situation, it is www.womensdivorceresource.org. I am pleased to announce that the YWCA on Lexington is going to be offering, and we found this at the Safe Family Task Force meeting, they're going to be offering self-defense classes and yoga classes on a regular basis. Nelson Neo is going to be doing the self-defense classes, and they're not sure exactly what the cost will be. The yoga classes will be about $7 per session. If any of you are interested in finding out more information, the number to call is 818-242-4155, and I think we should all be very proud of the YWCA and the programs that they're starting to offer for women and girls of all ages. And lastly, the Safe Family Task Force, I just wanted to do a very brief report on that. It's going to be focusing this year on bullying. We don't have our plans laid out yet, but everyone knows that bullying can begin and end with the family, and that is our mission, Safe Families. And so we feel that it's important to address this issue, and I will come back with more information from the task force when we decide what the programs will be. And we'll work with Bully Me Not, of course, to design future events. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Devine. Commissioner Garcifanian?
Yes, first I'd like to say goodbye and thank you to both our student ex officios. I know you'll go on to do wonderful things. And then another interesting thing I read about today in the news was a high school that, first, there hasn't been a female presidential debate moderator in 20 years. And I mean, we have women running for president now, and we can't have a female presidential debate moderator. So a senior class in a high school, I think in Ohio, started a petition online to the Committee of Presidential Debate. And so they picked, from the three moderators, they picked Candy Crawley of CNN to moderate the second presidential debate. So I would just like to say, if we put our voices together, they will be heard. And also I would like to urge, I think, this Glendale Management Services to push for our social media services, that we can finally get this commission online. Maybe Ms. Baboumian can help us with that.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcifanian, and Commissioner Tajdian has identified, so I just want to close with a couple of comments here as well. It has been, as you know, a great pleasure to serve with the two of you students. I look forward to you coming back to the Commission, telling us what you're doing with your life, keeping us informed, and participating in our events. A great big thank you. As my first year on the Commission, it was you two students really knocked it out of the park. and the bar is set pretty high for the students that we will be looking at afterwards. So I hope you take great pride in that. I also want to thank all of the commissioners for being present. You know I like to refer to you as my Fave Five. And here we all are, and I'm very grateful that you are here. I also want to identify this Friday, there is, and say congratulations, especially to our friends and our women friends in Glendale who have been nominated for the Women in Business Awards, and they will receive those this Friday, August 17th. Those awards, as you know, are a collaboration of the offices of Senator Carol Liu and Assemblymember Mike Gatto and Assemblymember Anthony Portantino. And we have some great women from the city of Glendale who have been identified as award recipients. So congratulations to them. I also hope that you received the email. Thank you, Ms. Varpechian, for identifying the issue of human trafficking, and Ms. Baboumian for sending it out to all commissioners. If everyone could stay tuned, this is a very, very important topic of human trafficking. What other local airports are doing and putting in place with volunteers, and something we might, as a commission, want to discuss at a future meeting. And last but not least, I wanted to let you know that last evening, I, with 25 of my friends, attended a concert at the Eagle Rock Park, where it was, it's one that we attend every year, and I arrived at about 6:30, and at 6:55 p.m. there was an accident, as you're aware of. It was a fairly tragic accident of 6 people in the car. 4 of those people have passed away. And although we do not know who these victims are at this time, I just want to put a great big thank you out to the first responders that were from a collaboration of very many cities, both the fire, the police, the legislators that we had on site, and also to send a very big heartfelt prayer and wishes to those people who were a part of this accident, as well as their family members who have lost so many. And to help us to remember that, you know, things can change on a moment's notice, and to really be grateful for what we have and for the time that we spend. And you could be at a concert in the park one day, and you could have a tire fall off your car the other day, the other moment. And those 2 events happening within blocks of each other, we heard the accident and everything, have really made an impression in my mind in terms of how sweet life is and how grateful we all should be for the time that we have. So with that said, I am going to adjourn my first meeting. I know I can't just adjourn it. I have to ask for a motion. Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn today's meeting?
I'll make that motion.
I will second.
And we have a second. Okay, upon receiving a second, the meeting is adjourned at 7:15 p.m.